Okay, the next step here is planning. Okay, so the 5 steps that I like to take, and there's a lot of different ways to plan. There's a lot of different tools to help you plan. So there's no one right way to do this. I'm just going to share with you how I do it. And hopefully this can be helpful to you. So the first thing I like to do is I like to add inelastic events or happenings to my calendar. So things that are not changing, they're going to happen for sure, right? So that would be events, things like that, right? Things that you know, or like trainings or like virtual info sessions. For me, like Coffee with Casa is one, right? So there's some things that I know are happening, and I like to go through my calendar first and put those things in the calendar first. Okay. So I have down here kind of a key to understanding the calendar. So there's the red is a holiday, blue is like a child welfare type event, yellow is a Georgia Casa event, and green is for you to put things for your organization. Now I put some in here as an example that are green, but you would want to change these or delete those and put in ones that are for you. So I sent everyone a template, but you should be able to delete the ones that I put in there. So for instance, we have New Year's Day here, MLK Day, and if we look at February, I have right up here is Black History Month. March we see is Women's History Month. Now we get to April, and we know that's Child Abuse Prevention Month, but that's blue because that is more of a child welfare related sort of thing. I don't want to say holiday, but awareness month. And so again, this is a great month to look at because it has all the colors on it. So we have the National CASA Volunteer Week is the week of the 20th. We also have Easter on the 20th. And then for us, Georgia CASA, we have our event, CASA on the Catwalk. And then this green example is that letter from Jen that I send out on the first Friday of every month, right? So that it would be something you would want to replace with one of your events or reoccurring things that you have. And so this green is what I'm talking about, is going through and putting in those inelastic things that you know are happening that are tied to a date or some sort of like time sensitive thing. So that's definitely how I start. Now I use a calendar like this, but I also use Planner. But there's all different kinds of things like this, right? There's like Trello. There's so many others. I'm drawing a blank right now, but there's a lot of different things like that where you have a calendar and you can put things on it to help guide your social media posts. Okay. So that's where I start. And then the next thing I do after I kind of put in those like dates that I know are going to be happening, I would go in and pencil in content ideas for the month. So I use my goals, I like refer to my goals, strategies, tactics, and I think about, okay, now what are some things that maybe are connected to this event or leading up to this event that I can pencil in and some ideas around it. And I like to do those in pencil because I move them around a lot. And that's why I don't like to set everything in stone ahead of time. So I do like to pencil things in, but keeping in mind for myself that especially if I'm working with other people and collaborating, I always like to have a little bit of flexibility because things happen, life happens, right? And we want to be adaptable. And so I don't like to do things last minute either. So like let's say I'm doing a collaborative thing. I might pencil it in for a few weeks before I actually have to do it because I want to make sure that there is some of that flexibility and that it can still get done and put out there in a time, like in a way that supports the time frame I'm trying to get with. And then also you want to consider some factors that might go into scheduling it. And then you want to make sure you're planning ahead and scheduling ahead. So I'll give an example here. So our Coffee with Casa, our next one's on January 29th with Casa Ogeechee. So the marketing goal that ties to is cultivate community and excitement within current network. And so the strategy that I want to use for that is some short form video content is what I want to pair up with that goal. And so the tactic that I'm going to engage is reaching out to Casa Ogeechee, seeing if they're willing to do an Instagram takeover the week before our Coffee with Casa event. So here's the plan. I need to discuss it with Casa Ogeechee. I need to share our posting guides with them and have that agreement ahead of time. and then she and I can develop our content plan together. And then I can provide account access to her and then determine the date and time we want to do that takeover. So, and then the last step would be to schedule it, right? So that would mean I'm going to pencil that in for the 21st or 22nd. Now, notice that even if I did the takeover on the 28th, it would still be effective. So I'm giving us that buffer of a week and I'm penciling it in and I'm allowing some space. So let's say we say decide on the 21st, and then the morning of, Kristen calls and says, oh my gosh, the volunteer we were gonna have do the takeover is sick today. We have another volunteer, but they can't do it until the 23rd or the 24th, right? And so then I still have time to adjust and we can reevaluate and get that in before that coffee with Casa on the 29th. All right. So now the last step we're going to talk about today is accountability. So here's just some ways that I have accountability. So, and I'm going to share these with you, but there's so many others that we can talk about if you have any others you want to share. But sharing your plan with your executive director. So once you have your plan, and there is a graph in here, a chart in here that I think to me helps how I think. So I put the date, and I just have January, so you can fill this out. But I put the date, I put the initiative, right? So affiliate takeover would be that initiative. Content type, that would be Instagram videos and stories. Topic would be volunteer. The collaborator is Casa Ogeechee, and then the audience are people who Casa curious. And I put what goal number that is related to. So thinking through, you can fill out your calendar this way and then transpose it onto like once you have it kind of planned out, then you can transpose it onto the actual calendar and have it up on your wall or somewhere you can see it and check in with it. And you want to share this plan with your executive director and say, here's some of the things, the strategies I want to try out for our social media or for our marketing, or I want to send this pitch to the paper, this volunteer feature pitch. Right. So you can share your plan with your executive director for the month or for the quarter, however far ahead you want to plan it. And then they can help check in on that with you. They can say like, hey, how's it going with the paper that you were reaching out to or sending a press release to, right? How's that going? And so they can help give you some of that checking in on it. And then the second thing I would say is adding it to your team agenda. So if you have a monthly staff meeting or something like that, you would want to say like, hey, can we put marketing on the agenda? And then you can give those updates to your whole team and say, hey, so this month we're working on doing more Instagram videos. That's just an example. We're working on doing some more Instagram videos. And so I might be tapping on some of you to help be a part of that, just a heads up. Or you could say like, hey, this last month we did 5 new Instagram videos. That's a new thing for us. And they've been performing like this. Maybe they're doing great. Maybe they're not doing great. Right. And so you could give that update and share. These are my goals for this upcoming month. And then looking back and say, here's how that went. Here's the impact of that. And then the third thing I would say is sending out monthly or quarterly reports that share those metrics and that goal progress. So when we talked about metrics, right, and the different metrics that I use to help measure my success, I send those out in quarterly reports to the entire Georgia Casa team and our board marketing committee. And so I do that every quarter to show like, here's some of the strategies, here's how we're measuring it, here's how it's going, right? And that honestly, it's more for me. I mean, they love it, right? But it's also for me to hold me accountable and to keep me on track and to also like kind of like celebrating those small wins we talked about. It's giving that moment to say like, yeah, maybe our inquiries haven't gotten up to 1,600 yet, or maybe we don't have this volunteer growth hasn't happened yet, but here's all of the things that are helping us work towards that. And let's celebrate these small things along the way. So at the end of your workbook, I have here what you are going to do for accountability. And I left a blank one. So if you have something that you want to add to this that you're going to do for accountability, to just help you stay on track with the goals that you're setting for yourself.